Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We've got Big E, we've got AJ, we've got Rudo coming to you live. Are we officially in July-August? Is it officially? I feel like there's still enough free agency stuff that could happen that maybe not, but we might officially be in July-August. I don't know what to tell you on that one.
I mean, we are going to spend a lot of our show talking about, like, Joe Veleno.
Yeah.
Like John Merrill. Kevin Rooney, it's pretty July-August
There's like
type of conversation.
One or two guys left that are real players. Not that those aren't real players, but maybe you would consider playing above the fourth line.
Yeah. Right.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. We'll get into that in a little bit. First news of the day. Not a whole lot going on, but Avs-related news now. Former skills coach Toby Peterson is taking the head coaching job in the AHL for Dallas for the Texas Stars. Neat. Look, I don't. Good luck to him. Wish him nothing but the best, except for that I hate the Texas Stars, but that's fine. The interesting conversation here is we've seen the Avs move on from the majority of their AHL staff and now some other coaches or whatever you want to call these development guys, skills coaches, whatever. We've seen a significant number of them move on from the organization this offseason. Is there a particular reason why you guys think that is, or is it just the normal cycles of an NHL team?
I'll give you the floor.
What he has to say.
Then I'll mop it out. No, you want me to go first?
Yeah, have this one.
Yeah. Here's what I find strange. And again, we're not in the room, so we're not going to argue. What's the level of interest of some people that were there that were considered? What's their qualifications? What are they looking for? When you're looking for a coach, I mean, you dress up a profile of what you're looking for, right? My only concern, and again, like I said, I'm not saying that the guys are not deserving, like Letestu or, things like that, but there's really hasn't been a lot of movement coaching-wise for the Avs the last 10 years with Bednar and everybody else, right? There really hasn't been a lot of movement. In the American League, what's his name? Left and Schneekloth took over, right? Cronin. Okay. But there was the constant was Schneekloth, right? That'd been there forever in the ECHL, in the CHL, in the American League. Now, what I find a little bit strange, and I'm all for, and we talked about that on one of our shows, on one of our pods, is I'm all for promoting from within. I think it's important for an organization. There really hasn't been a lot of opportunities for the Avalanche to promote from within because there's been no movement. With that said, you have an opportunity on the assistant coach position at the NHL level, which still hasn't been filled to my knowledge, right? Maybe it has, and it just hasn't been announced.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, that's why I find this strange a little bit is you have the opportunity to hire from within. Like I said, I'm not arguing what the profile is. So maybe the profile is a certain profile, and those guys didn't have parts of that profile. But High Note says, okay, well, I'm not getting it. Then I'll go somewhere else, right? Then he goes to Tampa. Schneekloth says, well, I'm not getting it. Then, all right, then it's time for me to go in the NHL. I'm going to go to Seattle. I'll pack my stuff and I'll go. Now, I know Mark Letestu, we'll talk about it, but I just feel that, I said it last week at development camp. I think not you, AJ, but I told Rudo, I said, maybe he wants to be a head coach, and, maybe it's time for him to be a head coach, or if you want to be in the coaching, you got to make the jump, and the opportunity's right there. How great is it? And I don't know Toby, and I know him, hello, and but it's not like I talked to him. And then when I saw that today, I was like, I was right. Like my intuition was right that he wants to be a coach, but then, all of a sudden he doesn't get it. They go outside. Again, Mark Letestu, maybe he's great. I don't know. I don't know him as a coach. I remember him as a player, right? We tried to get him many years as a player. Versatile guy. I don't know him as a coach. I know he's been in Columbus, but now there's the third guy in a few weeks that in the coaching ranks leaves. You know what I mean? Because he didn't get promoted. So I'm not pointing the finger at the Avs front office. I'm saying I'm sure they have a certain profile that they're looking for. I just find it strange that, 3 people left and for jobs that are available here with the Avs and they went somewhere else.
Yeah, I think strange is the polite way to put it. I think the realistic way that I'm viewing this is what's going on in your organization? What's wrong with you? Where are your priorities? Why don't your own guys think that they have an internal upward mobility here? It's either a really good thing or a really bad thing when everybody starts jumping ship like this. And I think it's tough to say that it's a really good thing because it's not like they've been churning out assistants who have been going all over the place. It's they've had the same.
There's literally a spot available. Like
right. Well, and Bednar's had the same staff for like 8 years. Like it's you can understand at the NHL level why it's been stagnant, right? They've had a lot of success. They've won a lot of games. Both of their special teams units have been good for the most part. The PK has its moments over the years, and last year the power play was easily like the worst it had been in a long time for a while there. And so it does raise the question. Your skills coach is now going to a division rival to be the head coach of the AHL program. An AHL program, mind you, that has churned out a ton of talent. An organization that has. So if they're valuing him in that way and they're saying, okay, we see how this guy can help our program, help our organization, why aren't the Avs feeling that? If Toby Peterson goes on to be a really good AHL head coach and Mark Letestu flames out with the Eagles,
it's a tough look.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really tough look, and it makes you wonder what exactly are they valuing that is leading them astray. And we can have a larger conversation, as we mentioned earlier. It's August.
Yeah.
So we probably will at some point, but their development has been awful.
Yep. Particularly on the forward side.
Yeah. And so you look at what they're doing internally. How is this, I mean, how are you guys bleeding coaching talent and not filling that role? And the guy that you got, it's just, we'll see. Greg Cronin, we weren't excited when Greg Cronin got the Eagles job, and he did a pretty damn good job for them. So we'll see. With Schneekloff, none of us were surprised when he was successful. He had been a really good coach at every single level, working his way up. And the next thing for him to do was to go get a job on a bench in the NHL. And the Avs had that opening and didn't give it to him. It's okay. I don't understand. I don't understand.
A little bit out of order here, but since we're in this conversation, I do just want to expand it. What makes this weird is that assistant job in the NHL isn't filled yet. If the Avs had a guy in mind, they were set on it, they signed him, it's done. Okay, then there's no room in the NHL for a bunch of these guys, and Schneekloff might feel like he has to move on or whatever it is. But that job's still available. It's still open, and to be honest, I don't think anyone sitting here has any idea what the plan is for who's going to fill that role at this point.
Like I always say, I'm not defending here. I'm saying we always look back, and then you look again. It's a busy time for front offices in the NHL, right? With the combine, the draft, the free agency, the filling of the jobs within the organization, and then last week, again, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that they probably were in on Gulutzin and what is it, Neil?
Okay,
Grant,
but
right?
they didn't get him.
No, that's what I'm saying. So they were probably in on it, and then all of a sudden, Gulutzin gets the head coaching job in Dallas, and then I think they were saying, was it Neil Grant? The Texas coach was supposed to, be there. Then all of a sudden Now he decides he's ready to go be an assistant coach, so he's not coming to Colorado or whoever, is giving him an assistant coaching job. And then all of a sudden he leaves. Now that leaves an opening. And then they're like, oh, Toby Peterson, he used to play for us and we like him and, we think the world of him. Well, he's not getting the job over there. And it sounds like they're giving it to somebody else. Maybe he was in the running, right? I mean, it just made sense, right? And then he doesn't get it. And then all of a sudden, it's the musical chair, right? And all of a sudden Texas jumps on Toby. And now the Avs, again, a skills coach. A skills coach is, I think it's essential nowadays. Obviously, in this league, it's such the talent is so good, and guys are so sharp with their skills, and you need to keep your skills sharp. Now that job is dirty a little bit because you're always with the injured guys. You're always beforehand. You're always after practice, right? And then it's a lot of work. It's a lot of sometimes miserable guys because it's scratches. So you're dealing with guys that are scratched, and you got to keep them upbeat. And now the Avalanche, I'm sure there's a handful of guys that can go, and absolutely, I wouldn't be surprised that that's filled very here shortly. And again, even the applications for the jobs in Loveland, man, it had to be. I mean, I bet you they had over 100 applications for sure. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is, right? All of a sudden, people they're sought after jobs. There's a lot of potential.
Just because I applied 99 times, you can't say they had over 100. All right.
Yes. So Runo applied. He didn't get a response. But
shocker.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. So now you still have someone in the minors you need, right? And then someone in the NHL. So they still need 2 more guys and a skills coach. So they need 3 more hires, right? So
you can. I think you can miss me a little bit with the it's a busy time. The Avs thus far haven't done much of anything in free agency, and they barely participated in the draft. I'm sure that it's busy. I know that they still have to be ready for all those things, but what exactly were they gearing up for? They haven't done much of anything, including hire coaches. So, it's a busy time. What are they? It's a busy time for them to sit on their hands. And I know that behind the scenes there's a ton happening. There is a lot going on, but in terms of producing results, they're bleeding coaches, and they have holes on their NHL roster. Their AHL roster is the only thing that got fortified in free agency. I mean, it's just right now you're just kind of wondering, what is this summer?
Results is the word, right? You say it all the time. It's a results-based business. And for all the hard work I'm sure the Avs have put in over the last 3 weeks, month, year even, they don't have a whole lot to show for it in this offseason right now.
Yeah, and you've seen all the other organizations that have needed coaches have gone through that process. They're hiring coaches. The talent pool is getting smaller as everybody else is making decisions, and the Avs are still just kind of hanging out. And look, if they've hired a guy and they just don't want to tell us because that's how the Avs roll, all right, then I retract, I guess. But we continue to see their AHL team just all of their coaches left, and now your skills coach is an AHL head coach for a division rival. It just and you're not doing much of anything. So for me, I'm just like, as of right now, it would be foolhardy to judge an offseason
in
its entirety
on
July 7th. But that's all we have to talk about is what's happened so far on July 7th. And right now for the Avalanche organization, it just isn't much.
Yep.
I'll go back to it. I'll wait till you
okay. We'll pay our bills first. Yeah. We'll pay our bills
get
first.
Back to it. But it's all fair.
I mean, maybe the Eagles didn't hire me because I'm a little bit stinky, all right? And I should have used Mando on my application. That's what should have happened. Maybe then the Eagles would have taken me seriously. Don't think it'll help you. Don't think it'll help you get a hockey job, but might help you smell better in the locker room. You can jump in with Mando today. Of course, they are a men's deodorant brand that has a bunch of different amazing options for you all over the place. Whether you're going on a summer road trip or whatever it might be, you can jump in with their new starter pack, which comes with 4 items, including cream deodorant, tube deodorant, and 2 items of your choice. Whether it's your pits, your belly buttons, your balls, your butt cracks, or your grundles, even more, Mando makes sure all of the colorful parts of a man's body are staying clean and smelling fresh. So jump in, get that starter pack today. It's great for new customers, and you can get $5 off when you use code DNVR. Jump in on that one. Go over to shopmando.com and use code DNVR. And for a limited time during the summer, the DNVR code is even giving you 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. So if you're already a Mando fan and don't want the starter pack, you can get other options too at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please use the DNVR code. Let them know we sent you over there and help support us along with smelling fresh, staying drier from head to toe with Mando. Once you're smelling good, that's when you got to, focus on the house too. House has got to look good, smell good, look good, play good. That's not how the saying goes. That's fine. But Empire Today has your back. When you're looking for new floors, Empire Today only carries the best products. You don't have to go through all of the other junk that big box stores might carry. You'll see the best floors, whether it's hardwood, tile, carpet, whatever you need. Jump in with Empire Today. You can also get yourself a free in-home estimate from them, or of course you can go online, use their tools there at empiretoday.com/DNVR. That'll get you $350 off your new floors, but highly recommend you get their free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. You can see the flooring swatches in your space with your furniture, see what that color will look like. So jump in today, use that DNVR code to get $350 off at empiretoday.com/DNVR. And then of course restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/DNVR for full details, or you can always call 1-800-588-2300 Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. You got more to say, or should we move on?
No, but I was saying it. Okay, so I'm listening to AJ there because he was the last one to talk, and he's absolutely right. And I'm reading the comments, and people are right. And I'm listening to Rudo, and you are right too. All I'm saying is here's the difference between the off season and the regular season. In the regular season, sometimes you got to put a Band-Aid on it, right? And you got to do something, and you got to do something quick. In the off season, there's no game tomorrow. There's no points at stake. You know what I mean? But I totally get it. My wife's the same way. I'm the same way. It's like, it's got to get done now. You know what I mean? And it's like, I get it, because it's fair. It's true. They need to do some more, but there's so much at stake. And I can tell you last week, they're trying something. They were in on Ehlers. You know that. Everyone knows that. So that means they're in on something. They're working on something. And sometimes it's all those trigger points with arbitration. Maybe not your guy, but the guy they're after, and that team's dealing with that. And, so it's a lot during the season because everybody puts on pause. Then they're like, you know what? No, I'm taking a week off. This league goes dormant very soon here. It goes dormant. Guys, it's a crazy job that they have, and they go away for a week or two. They should. They have their phones on, but they're really going away. And then everything gets put on hold. And then agents do the same thing. They're like, well, we're here now. Might as well wait, right? Why wouldn't you wait till September when somebody breaks an ankle? Knock on wood, right? You know what I mean? Well, then all of a sudden, so there's a waiting game, and that's what's hard. And I think as fans, and the fans have the right to. And trust me, the only reason I can say that is because I've been part of it. It's like in the front office, it's draining you as well because it's a 12-month job. And it's 24/7. And you would think in the summer, like right now, you would actually breathe, because you don't have the pressure of wins and losses. But it's hard too because I'm not defending. It's just a fact. You're trying stuff and you have the mercy of people and timing and they're up to something. Somebody said the other day they were sleepy. Listen, they made 10 trades last year. God, I mean, are you kidding me? From November on, on the fly. That's what I'm saying. That is so hard to do. The nerves are there. The points are there to lose and gain. And that was crazy. But I think, and the problem here is it's the same front office it's been for years. I'm not sure. I read some people they're putting fingers on guys like it's the same front office. It's just titles that changed. Nothing's changed. I mean, what are we talking about here? It's all the same. And this is a front office that's never been scared to go after things or to do things. So again, I just I just think it's sometimes you got to preach a little patience, and they're working on something. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they want to win. They want to win. They want to give that core, and they said it. And the core knows too. You hear it from McCarr. You hear it from McKinnon. Yeah, management's giving us a chance to win, and they're trying. So that they have some stuff. People are saying, "Oh, cap space." Yeah, they do. And in which you have to start with something. So they've started with something. The rest is coming, and sometimes it just unclogs all of a sudden, and sometimes it takes another few weeks or maybe months. Who knows? But it's hard because when you're in it, it's tough as fans, as management, us, anyone. It's hard because you're waiting for the shoe to fall, like something to fall, right? So
that patience is always tough, and especially, but like right now, Puckpedia, not even incorrectly, but Puckpedia has Ivan, Nikita Prishchapov, and Ty Feliber on the NHL roster. And it's like, that's
you got
the work
to
that
do.
they still have left to do. But if those three guys are on the opening night roster and injuries aren't involved, I will be shocked. So yes,
maybe one of those
come.
guys should be on the opening night roster.
Totally, and you could have that argument about which one it would be, and he would probably be either like a fourth line guy or your 13th forward on the opening night roster, not in the opening night lineup, kind of thing.
Okay. And the only thing I wanted to add is, and I'll use Boston, because we all felt it was strange last week a little bit, right? They get their cap space, they trade their captain, they trade their stuff, they go get draft picks, which is great, awesome. But then all of a sudden they go sign. And I'm not bashing that. I'm just, again, we're not inside those rooms. The optics, though, is they went and bought themselves a fourth line at a very expensive price. And now everybody's upside down saying, well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But I'm saying if this was the Avs, that all of a sudden they created cap space and then they signed some weird contracts, we'd all be like, what are they doing? We'll talk about that tomorrow. I think a little bit of preview, LA, things like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of teams last week that spent bad money, and we all praised the Avalanche and said, "All right, I don't like your worst money is you probably gave Parker Kelly 2 years too many." Okay, we'll see how that goes. We might feel differently about that extension in a year, but it is what it is. Whatever, right? That's their worst money right now is Parker Kelly's extension, which
$1.7 million, not bad.
Yeah, you're not sitting here like crushing that contract. You can dislike it for paying role players, and that, I think that's personally fair, but $1.7 million is your bad money right now. That doesn't even kick in till next year. Maybe your bad money is the $3 million for 10 games played for Brent Burns.
Yeah, that's something.
Maybe that's your bad money. But
might as well as it is, it's a $4 million deal.
Exactly. Like there's a different level there, where the one thing about the Brent Burns roster bonus is that it gets applied either before or after. That's flexibility. Great.
True.
Yep.
But that's like the worst money that they've spent so far. That and the Parker, like there's just not. This year is just not. There was a lot of bad money spent. The Avalanche have yet to really, truly spend much of it, and so right now, I think we're fine. But we are impatient. We do want to get to what's next.
Yep, it's hard not to be. You want it to happen now, but I did want to wrap up the coaching conversation just very quickly. You guys mentioned his name a few times. Mark Letestu named the head coach of the Colorado Eagles. I'm not going to pretend to be particularly intimate with what he was as a coach. Obviously, as a player, a defensive defenseman that was, a journeyman around the league. I will say another Columbus connection for the Colorado Avalanche between C-Mac and Jared Bednar being part of that organization. We see a lot of players or coaches or pieces come through that pipeline from Columbus to Colorado. But I don't know if you guys had anything to add on Letestu.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I remember him a lot. A very serviceable guy, versatile. Right shot, center, wing. We tried to get him many times over the years, and seems like to be a great person. He's been, what is it, 4 years now in the Columbus, Cleveland
with Erie,
Monsters,
yeah.
Lake Erie Monsters. So again, he's got some coaching experience. He's got a lot of playing experience. C-Mac, obviously familiar with him from his days in Columbus, and so was Coach Bednar. Again, they had a profile. He seems to be the guy that had the best profile, and again, we don't know. Maybe Toby played in Texas, and I don't know. His wife's from there. I have no idea, and he wanted to go there. I don't know, right? We don't know. At the end of the day, we just know that he's the one that was named head coach, and we'll see how he does. And I'm sure, he's going to do more than fine. And it's a great job in the American League. Loveland is a great place to live, and they take care with the ownership there. It's a great place to work. In hockey and hone your craft in the coaching world. And there's a lot worse places, trust me. And that place is a great place. And look at what it's done. Guys are finding jobs in the NHL, so that's a good path for them. Great path.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know him personally. The Monsters were pretty middling over the last couple of years. He was an assistant coach, though, so how much does that fall on him? I don't know. We'll see what he does in Colorado. The only other piece of news that the Avs did over the weekend, and I know we're talking about how the Avs haven't done much. Does this count as something for the NHL roster? As they did sign Alex Barré-Boulet. He's a guy that has 70 NHL games. I don't know if you expect him to be a regular in the lineup, but we were talking about, look, there's a pretty decent chance he's ahead of the Fellebers, the Prishchapovs of the world.
Easily. He'll have the leg up on those guys coming out of camp, coming into camp. But if he's a regular, if he plays 40 games for the Avs, something bad has happened.
Yeah,
so
I think that's fair.
Yeah, again, I do believe Kevin McDonald, like they want to win at the American League level because winning is developing. I buy that. I'm with it. Obviously, by their signings that we saw, like Tynan and things like that, and over the years they've done the right job there because we all know the Avalanche are thin on prospects. But a guy like that, I call that like a long relief guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's not coming in for short relief for a game or two, but he might be coming in because, 10, 12 games, Again, if he does awesome and he sticks, great. Good on him. I mean, make decisions, right? That's the thing we always say. But, I would say he's more like a long relief guy if you're comparing to baseball, where probably can come in and pitch more than a few innings. He can stay in long relief, and he's a good player, and he's a very good American Hockey League player, and he's got experience at the NHL level. So I think it's important to have those guys. They lost Wagner's and all that things like that, right? You know what I mean? So you're talking about a guy with experience, So
I mean,
which is not a bad thing to have.
This organization probably has a little bit of trauma using 49 players in the regular season last year. They probably want a couple of guys that they have as options.
That's a lot of players.
And Barré-Boulet is an elite AHL player. He's fantastic. He's a quad A guy. This isn't for my money, he's not an NHL regular. He's had chances and just could not lock down that job. One of those, honestly, TJ Tynan. He's just TJ Tynan.
Yep, agree. All right. I think that marks off most of the Avs news, so we can move into speculation or otherwise on the other side of this break, but we do need to.
Shout out to the guys, too, and, Donnie and Bryce and Brad, the equipment guys for the Avs. Now that camp's over last week, now they can take a break. You're talking about 50 players. Like, trust me, that is a long year for those guys. Oh my Lord. That's a lot of stress. It's a lot of freaking get going on this and this and that and making jerseys. So, yeah, shout out to those guys for the record.
Tough work, but, everybody's working hard out here, even if sometimes the results aren't there. We, of course, brought to you by the amazing folks over at Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. You can jump in with them at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships and find whatever car you might need, whether it's trucks, SUVs, sedans, or otherwise. Toyota has you covered. 17 different models with all-wheel or four-wheel drive to make sure you got what you need to go off-roading, or, of course, if you just want that better grip on the roads in some questionable weather, especially here in Colorado. You can jump in with the most low or zero emission vehicles in everybody at all makers. Toyota makes the most of anyone when it comes to low and zero emission vehicles. 16 different hybrids to choose from, even trucks that have hybrid status. So whatever it is you need, if you're looking for a new vehicle, Toyota is the place to get it. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR and the Colorado Avalanche. Let's go places. Once you got yourself your brand new Toyota to ride around in, you know what? You get home after a long day of work, maybe it was a long commute. It's when it's time to choose chill. Crack open an ice cold Coors Light and choose chill. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink. We had lots of cookouts going for 4th of July weekend out here, so I hope y'all were drinking Coors Light for that. It's a great beer to flip some burgers on the grill with, or hang out in your backyard, watch my dogs dig up my backyard. I'm not going to get mad about it because I'm choosing chill with Coors Light. That's the way it works, right? Okay. Again, you can go get it in pretty much every liquor store in the country, or you can be lazy like me and get it delivered right to your front door. CoorsLight.com/DNVR, thanks to Instacart, will get it shipped right to you pronto. So jump in, make the most of the times you choose chill and choose Coors Light. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and get it delivered right to your door. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And here's where things get interesting. Before we get into the names, we have the poll in chat here. Did the Avs miss out on free agency? Looks like the majority of the chat said no, on nearly 50% there. About 30% said yes, and 25% saying, I don't know. So it seems like...
No more I don't know options. Okay. No more outs. You have to pick one. You have to pick one, Tiff.
I'm sorry.
No more outs for these people. Make a decision. You're a grown-up. Yes or no?
I was going to put too early to tell, but I felt like that was also an out. So, I don't know.
So you put a different out? I am critical of this poll. This is why we don't trust polls anymore.
I feel like 99% would have picked that. I think it's fair to feel a little bit of both here, to take a page out of AJ's book. Did the Avs miss out on some things? Yeah, that Nick Perbix deal, would have loved that. Some of these cheap forward deals that got done, would have been interested in those. But at the same time, they also didn't wildly overpay for bad dudes. So... I'm a little bit in both camps here, to some extent. I'm curious where you guys feel. I know we just talked about preaching patience, but do you think there are some things the Avs you wish would have done already?
I mean, the Nick Perbix deal, we all really liked Nick Perbix, and the money that he got was, and the term that he got was really good in Nashville. They're going to like that deal. The problem is that he didn't have a job in Colorado.
It's true. You'd have to.
It's the same conversation. Well, it's the same conversation we're already having with Brent Burns.
Yep.
Which right-handed guy is either playing on your left side, or what's the follow-up move to clear out your right side, or which one of those guys is being a healthy scratch? So that was the Nick Perbix conversation. Really, I think he's going to be a breakout guy. I really like the player. I really like the contract. In Colorado, it didn't make a ton of sense. So my favorite contract in UFA. Like, I liked the Victor Arvidsson trade. That, speaking of Boston, I liked what they. A 5th-round pick for Victor Arvidsson's full salary. I probably would have done that for 1 year of Victor Arvidsson. I probably would have done that, understanding all the risks. Small guys, when their bodies break down, they don't ever really fully come back, and they usually just get worse and worse and worse. So I can understand why the Avs took a pass there. But 2 years, $4 million for Jonathan Duran,
Pretty easy one to have said yes to. Yeah.
I would have done that, man. Like, that's one of the few deals that I'm just like, okay, I would have done that. Because, and I can understand Jonathan Duran looking at Colorado's roster going, I don't really want to play on the third line.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Fair enough,
And
man.
that's my point. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep.
A player has a choice in this. Maybe Colorado did offer that, and he just said, I don't have a job there that I want to play anymore. Okay, fair enough. I completely get that conversation. But otherwise, I just don't feel like there were. I mean, we spent all offseason leading up to UFA being like, this is a bad UFA class. And then the Avs didn't do much, and now it's like, why didn't they go sign all these guys? You know, like, we kept saying they have to wait this out. We want them to wait out the market. This is what waiting out the market looks like. It is patience. It drives people like us crazy because we want to be able to talk about what the roster is going to look like
We
and
do
what
a
their roster
podcast
is
5
compared
days a
to other
week. Yeah.
rosters. Exactly. It helps us when they do stuff. But also, the flip side of that, they didn't do stuff. They didn't do stuff, so now we get to speculate about it, and we get to talk about all these guys who are unsigned.
Yep.
Yeah,
So thank you.
And again, free agency is all about fit. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And the cards are on the player's side of things. When they don't choose you, it doesn't mean that you're a bad team and you don't want to go to. It's because they feel that they don't have a job or they're not a good fit. Like maybe Perbix, like, I don't know, maybe they were in on it, but he was like, where do I play? And then they can't really tell you, well, we are in the midst of making room. We can't tell you because if it doesn't work, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard. Like it's such a hard time. Wait period is hard.
Yeah.
Because you can't do business as usual. And you're not lying, but you're saying, yeah, we probably have more moves to make. But then, so as a player, you look at your agent, your wife, and you're like, okay, So I gotta hope that somebody falls, and what if it doesn't fall? Then I'm the odd man out, and I'm not dressing. Then why am I doing this? I can go to where did Perbix go? I'm trying to remember.
Nashville.
So we're in Nashville. Again, coaches can tell you anything. They can sell you anything. At the end of the day, most people they want to keep their word, but sometimes circumstances bring it where it's different. And all of a sudden you make a trade in October and it's not the same thing as in the summer. And then you lose your spot too because you're not performing. So I'm not worried about that. It's the NHL. What have you done for me lately, right? So and that's where guys become mad and, like, oh, that's not what I was told this summer. But again, it was different. Now you made a trade and it's not the same roster. So, but at the end of the day, it's always about a fit. And maybe they were in on a couple guys, and maybe they were in on Jonathan, and maybe he was saying, no, it's time to go. You know what I mean? Because I want to play on the power play, and I'm not getting power play time here, and I want to, I don't want to play on the third line, and I get it. I get it. So again, it goes both ways, and I think they've been trying. I know they've been trying, of course. Just know that they were trying real hard since last week, and they're trying, and they will get to it. Like you said, it's not going to be the roster you're seeing on Puckpedia come opening night. It's not.
Yeah.
It's while I do agree with that, you don't get any apples for trying. You get apples for results.
True. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Absolutely.
What was it? Chris Johnston last week tweeted out, credit to the Utah Mammoth for trying to be aggressive or whatever. And it's like, we're giving credit to an organization because they're going to try to get better. They haven't even done it yet. Yeah. They're going to try, like, this is silly. So,
yep.
Anyway, that tweet, I thought about it for like 4 or 5 straight days.
Clearly.
Because I was like,
clearly,
what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Where did Mangiapane? My brain is like, where did Mangiapane
Edmonton.
go? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some of the names that are still left out there if the Avs are looking to do something via the free agency route. It's not
Still
a ton.
can't skate, man. Sorry.
On the defensive side, it is virtually nothing. If you're talking about guys who aren't on the precipice of retiring, the defensive side, you basically have Grzelcyk and John Merrill, and then a bunch of old dudes. That's about it.
Eric's going to be so stoked when we get Matt Grzelcyk.
Not that the Avs are necessarily in the market for more defensemen, depending on what they do next. But yeah, unless you're interested in signing like a 35-year-old David Savard,
Didn't he retire?
I think he did retire.
I saw him by his pool last week. He was retired. He had a retired
has Martinez retired yet? He's still
he retired too. He's retired.
So yeah,
I thought
there's really not much worth mentioning out there on the defensive side as far as NHL regular type guys. As much as AJ wants John Merrill, but
the only guy that you're looking at that's under 30 is Oliver Shillington.
Yeah. Don't think you'll be running that back if you're Colorado, but
yeah. So you're looking at you really are looking at like, did TJ Brody retire? Like, what's up with TJ Brody, who's been, by the way, so bad.
He was so bad in Chicago. He was
so bad. And like Eric Johnson, I'm all for. Okay, hey, bring Eric Johnson back as your 7, but then that gives you 5 right-handed shots. And then what are you doing with Keaton Middleton? Is he now your 8? I would love for Keaton Middleton to be your like 9 or 10, but we know the Avs don't feel that way.
Yeah, Middleton's going to be in the lineup. Maybe not on the ice, but on the roster.
Grzelcyk. I know Grzelcyk. People will say like, and Kasimak said he's got to get bigger on the back end. Well, first of all, with Burns, they got bigger. The guy's a monster. His backpack is
really
big.
Play bigger, but sure.
No,
yeah,
but
he's terrible defensively, but it's fine. He's bigger. You got what you wanted. One of our comments wanted a guy that was 6'3" to 6'7". Specifically 6'3" to 6'7". Brent Burns is 6'5". He says Olay on defense. But yeah, right?
Pretty sure Eddie's 6'3". Can he play?
No.
But my point is on Grzelcyk the Bear. Grzelcyk, he's 5'9". But my only argument about Grzelcyk, it doesn't make your decor bigger, but Grzelcyk plays hard. Grzelcyk plays big. The mayor of Charlestown. So this guy plays hard. So you got to look away from the numbers right next to his name.
Well, the appeal of Grzelcyk is he's the same as some of these other conversations we've had about guys where he was averaged over 20 minutes last year in Pittsburgh, which is ridiculous. Like in Colorado, he'd be playing 15, maybe less. So maybe there's a conversation where you're like, maybe those numbers look better against weaker competition in lower minutes. And I know he had 40 points or whatever, but his actual underlying metrics, if you want to go get a big guy who's good at defense, his defensive metrics have been really bad for the last 2 years. So.
Because you're on a bad team, right? You're playing on a bad team. That's what happens.
Yeah, there's factors there, but.
And opposite, Brent Burns, by the way, a bad 5v5 defender and has been for a really long time now, but has been on a really good team in Carolina that suppresses shots, so a lot of his metrics are pretty good, but his 5v5 defense even still looks bad there.
Jacob Slavin dragged him to almost passable defensive numbers.
Look, Brent Burns will help the PK. He definitely will.
Sure.
He's a good PKer. He will be a meaningful addition there. But just because Brent Burns is 6'5", 220 does not mean that size makes him a good defender. He's not. He hasn't been. You add the fact that he's 40 years old and he's not very fast anymore. He's not a great skate. Like, he's gonna have holes. There's gonna be major things about Brent Burns that are gonna drive everybody crazy. But because it's July 7th and we're like, hey, I've heard of Brent Burns. Also, I know how big he is. That's just what they needed. Not really, but it's fine. He makes their defense. He reinforces what's good about their defense. He will be a good fit. I accept that I'm good with the Brent Burns thing. He's more of what they had, just in a bigger package. Great.
Yep.
Sounds fine to me, man. It's an easy sell, especially for $4 million.
I mean,
It's fine.
Let me jump off of that very quickly. We don't need to go in depth on this, but I think it's an interesting conversation. Let's say Ryan Lindgren would have taken $500K less. Would you rather have Brent Burns or Ryan Lindgren?
Brent Burns.
I would agree. I'm curious on E though. You're on the Burns train too, E? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
no, I like it. I like it. And again, size matters. And when like we're talking about like Val, I always say it. Val's not a hitter; he's a hunter. He's tenacious. His stick's there. He's hard to move, and that's what Brent Burns is. We talked about on that mini pod, right? So it's not going to kill you. He's not going to. We had what 11 body checks last year.
Yeah, he had 11 hits.
I think Hyman had done one game in the playoffs this year. So I'm just saying. So but it's size. It does become relevant when you're out there, and you know what I mean. A PK, like you're talking about, but he's not a killer. He's not a tough guy. He's not like I'm playing out there. He's not scaring me. That's for sure. The beard, if again, but it's not scaring you. He's not making you think like, oh, he brings an element of fear here. He's not.
Yeah, look. I know it's not this simple, but in the simplest terms, you Ryan Lindgren out for $4.5 million, Brent Burns in for $4 million. Right? Technically, it could be 5. He's not playing 23 minutes a night. It's not happening.
Yeah, for 1 year.
Technically, it's $1 million. Technically, it's 1. It's not 4.
Sure, that extra $3 million could end up on next year's cap or whatever. But I'm just putting it in the simplest terms possible.
Ultimately, it's costing them 4. It'll either be now or later, but the other 3 is coming down the pipe.
Yeah. So you made yourself better on defense, right? Cheaper for a better player. Yes, it's more complicated than that. I get it. You might have to move pieces out, right shot, blah, 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 blah. But you got a better player for cheaper by letting Lindgren walk and picking up Brent Burns. It's decent business. On the forward side, on the other hand, here, the Avs have not added a lot. We've talked about it on the show already. They have holes on that side of their lineup. When you look at what's out there in free agency, I've had multiple people tweet me about Jack Roslovic over the weekend, whether he could be an option. You have Victor Olofsson. Kiviranta's still out there. Kovalenko, if you're dipping into those unqualified RFAs. They've been tied to Joe Veleno, if that's a thing that's going to be happening. There are some other options. I wouldn't be too interested in a Jeff Skinner or Pat Maroon personally. But
Pat Maroon retired.
Did he retire? Okay, good. I saw he's assisted on his son's first roller hockey goal. That was cool. That was a cool clip.
Sick.
But Carconi, a guy I like. I know AJ, you've talked about before too. There are still some options on the lower end of the forward group in free agency.
Yeah, there are guys that can help you, and the thing is, you're looking at really flawed profiles here. Joe Veleno, he's really fast. He's got okay size. He'll throw a hit every once in a while. Is he a center? Is he a wing? It hasn't really mattered. He's not been very good anywhere that he's been in places that have paid him money to try to be better.
It's
tried
really
to give
hard
him
to be a center when you generate no offense. Like, he is not a generator. He doesn't drive any play by himself at all.
Yeah. And that's fine if you're Luke Glendening and you win 80% of your faceoffs and you're a defensive shutdown guy. But Joe Veleno doesn't do either one of those things either. He's bad in faceoffs and has been moved off of center in his career to wing. So, like, Joe Veleno's fine. Again, if you're talking $850K, I don't feel strongly about which one of these guys. Jack Roslovic's not going to take that. But Jack Roslovic, that's a third-line player. What does he do? I mean, he had a 22-goal season, so he scores at a higher rate than any of the other guys we're going to talk about on this list. But, like, he's kind of been an all-around blah guy, and his entire career he's been dogged by, he wants a larger role. He wants to play more. He wants to play more. He wants a larger role. And
Certainly
then
isn't
every time
getting
he's
that in
had,
Colorado. Yeah.
well, and every time that he's had an opportunity to earn it, he hasn't been able to win a job. So he ends up, has he accepted his fate as a middle six player, to be generous, mostly as a bottom six player? Let's be real. He would be on Colorado's third line. If he has, this would be a really good opportunity for him to score some points and go back into a market again next year. The old Evan Rodriguez thing. Use this as okay, last year wasn't an aberration, but if you have a third line of Jack Drury, Ross Colton, and Jack Roslovic, you're pretty competitive. You're not. That's a good third line, man.
My thing is, my name that I have written down and everyone knows, Chad knows, is Grizzly Bear, right? Grizzly. I won't let it go until they sign him. So, all right, that's one. As far as like the names you're talking about, Roslovic and Olofsson, I like Olofsson. I like it for the second power play if they ever choose to go to 2 power plays. The guy can score. It is some sort of a reclamation project, so to speak. You come from Buffalo. It's so hard it's draining on you because you're losing every year. It's tough. But the one thing Chad's talking about, I just want to rewind to take 2 seconds. Alyssa A. Wolf is the locker room. Locker room's massive. And again, that's the one part I can touch on because I've been there. It is so important. It is so important. You can't win without it. And the one thing that's flagrant, and if that's the right word, from the 22 team to now, the locker room hasn't been the same. There's a reason why they brought back, right, EJ for the playoffs. Gabe had been gone 3 years. Guys, I'm telling you, and you see it when they win. Just again, they're talking about Florida. It's amazing. I don't think I felt that with the Avs this year. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to write about it, but I can tell you that it wasn't quite there. And it's important to have it, or you can't win without it. So that's right. Brent Burns is supposed to be an unbelievable human being, and right there, that helps. You can't discard that, and that's part of it. So I just want to add that because those were great points by Chad there. Great points.
Yeah.
Alyssa and A. Wolf.
When we get back into these forwards, though, Victor Olofsson was a guy that I was out on last year. I did not want to mess with it. He went and had a really good year in Vegas as a bottom 6 guy. He played 14 minutes a night. He only scored 15 goals, but in 56 games, had a presence on their second power play unit, actually made it a little bit dangerous. He drives no offense. He never has. He just finishes.
It's
but
kind
he
of the
showed
case of all of these
major,
guys, honestly. But
he showed a major development in his defensive game last year, and I thought, wow, a good team asked him to just focus on a couple of things in his game instead of a bad team that just says, go out there and do whatever the hell it doesn't matter anyway, I guess. Go get yours, Victor. And he fit into a specific role. And he did a really good job. That, to me, that makes Olofsson a very intriguing guy for the Avalanche, especially because they could really use a little bit of goal-scoring pop. A guy that could just wire a puck in their bottom 6. Have not had that since Andre Burakovsky left. And having that little extra pop would be really helpful for them.
But Olofsson, he's in a bad environment in Buffalo. Dan goes into a role in Phoenix, in Vegas, and has a successful season. You want to call, like you said, 14 and 55, whatever it was, and some power play duty. So, again, I like that because he shows that he can play in a playoff type atmosphere environment, which are the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Roslovic, my only thing is, you can score 20 goals a year, but you get the playoffs, you get scratched. So if you're getting scratched in playoffs, there's a reason for that. And that's the reason that makes me a little tentative on him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We're trying to win in the playoffs, right? How come Brenda Moore, a guy like that's trying to, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to put a 25-goal scorer in there? So there's a lot of red flags that you have to look into that one.
The red flags are interesting, though, right? Because I do think you can find ways to get cheaper. When you look at someone like a Roslovic who has multiple 40-point seasons in his career, a team might convince themselves to pay a little bit extra for a guy like that, thinking they can get him back to that level. Whereas maybe you're buying a little bit lower on an Olofsson. I do think the defensive side matters too, but you were talking about the goal scoring, and that's where it comes in, especially when you look at the Avs bottom six. Who scores goals in that bottom six right now? Ross Colton is pretty much the end of the list. Logan O'Connor is okay, but he's going to miss the first portion of the season. Jack Drury's career high is 8 in a season.
I'm gonna be mean here. I'm gonna be mean.
He's played almost 200 games and he's a 7% shooter. So like, there's not a ton of goal scoring.
I'm gonna be mean to Ross here, but Ross, did he get those goals when he was on the top 6, or did he get those in the bottom 6?
2 years ago, he was a 20-goal guy up and down the lineup. So I want to give him a little bit.
All right, we'll give it. Okay, perfect. That's fair. I just wanted to bring it up. This year he went on a tear, but he was playing on the first line.
Sure, it's a valid point.
And I like Ross. I'm not begging him. I like him.
Yeah, in Ross's career, his per 82 game average, he averages right around 13 minutes per night, and averages about 18 goals per season.
So that's a goal score.
I'll take it.
So yeah, he finishes at a decent. He actually drives play really well, and it's funny because we're talking about his goal scoring, but his goal scoring has always been a little bit down relative to the play that he drives. So he creates a lot more chances than he actually finishes off. Leaves a ton of them on the ice. Certainly tracks with what we've seen through 2 years.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
but his goal scoring is not so much he's just going to beat a goaltender. He's going to the net. He's fighting for pucks. Yeah. That's why Ross Colton at $4 million is still really valuable for the Avs. He could do that thing, but you need, I think, where Olofsson represents a difference. Kiviranta scored 16 goals last year. Any of us believe that's coming, even if he were to come back on $1 million contract,
dude. If he scores 8,
right? You're talking like 8 to 10 goals would be fine, right? Like you could live with that given all the other things that you're comfortable with. You're not expecting him to score 16. Where Olofsson comes in is he can do that. He can actually shoot a puck.
Yeah.
So that I mean, he would probably be my top preferred option right now.
Yep. I think I agree, especially just the defensive acumen goes a long way. And I say it's 1 year. He has to prove he can keep doing it in Colorado, but a guy that isn't a black hole on defense that can give you a little bit of pop offensively in the bottom of your lineup makes a pretty big difference.
Frankly, your team-wide driving of play wasn't the problem against Dallas. You did that.
Yeah. You needed to finish.
You beat them in shot attempts, shots, scoring chances, high danger chances. You did all of that. It was purely the finishing ability. You just gotta be able to pump in an extra goal or two in a 7-game series, and they would have won that series. And that's what they should be out there looking for. Don't give me Luke Cunnin. If you give me Luke Cunnin, I'm gonna be mad. He's bad. He's terrible. I know he works hard. He plays hard. He's professional. Great. He's terrible. Please stop.
I like Luke Cunnin.
Of course you do. He is catnip for any old school guy. Luke Cunnin plays so hard, and he throws the body, and he loses a lot of faceoffs, but he takes them, right? Like, he does so much that you can see with your eyes, and you think, wow, this guy's really actively involved. Terrible. Awful defensive player. Gets crushed. Every team, every environment, every situation he's ever been in his career, it has not mattered. He is bad.
Yeah. For the record, Olofsson, career 13.5% shooter. Pretty much bang on shot that. 13.8 in Vegas last year. The only player currently on the Avs roster that's played at least 100 games that has shot better is Arturi Lehkonen.
Yeah, Lecky can get streaky.
Not a great example of how shooting percentage relates to quality shooter, because Lecky, not much of a shooter. Really good at the tips and the rebounds and the putting it into the empty net part. The hockey IQ gets him into great position for some easy goals. Not so much the he's had maybe like 10 goals in his Avalanche career where he's just picked a corner. Thank God one of them was Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final.
And those ones are he closed his eyes and shot it as hard as he could. So
yeah.
But it just goes to show, like, there is some ability there when it comes to his shooting that the Avs could need. We are headed into overtime. I think we're probably into overtime. I don't even know. I think the Rockies are on OTT anyway, so it's probably fine. But yeah, join the conversation online at DNVR.com. Let me ask you guys this. I think we do expect the Avs to do more. How many more free agents do you think the Avs sign this offseason? Because I think some of us are expecting maybe some trades to happen, some other avenues to acquiring players. What is the number for free agents? Because I think it's more than 0, but I don't know that it's more than 2.
Yeah, when you say free agents, I'm going to say, let's say certainly one I have confidence in. I think they will sign at least one. You know what? We'll say 2. 2 free agents. Even if those free agents are Kivi Ranta and Eric Johnson, I'm still saying 2.
Yeah,
they count. All right. So we do expect some signings to happen. Now, could those happen in August? Maybe. Could they happen tomorrow? I mean, maybe.
They had the 2 years in a row where they signed a guy on September 12th.
I know.
So I'm holding out for September 12th.
If they sign in the middle of the rookie tournament and we have to start doing work on that in the middle of the rookie tournament, I'm going to be upset. All right.
Don't say this. The rookie faceoff is so nerfed as it is that if the Avs pull some shenanigans in the middle of it, I'm going to be frustrated individual. And I'll be in Denver for that. They're going to have to put up with me being frustrated.
There are still some other conversations, like questions around the Avs cap space. Do you expect them how much to carry it? But those are now a topic for another day. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Hit on it. Best and worst off seasons, team by team. We're doing top 5 best and top 5 worst teams this off season so far. So tune in for that. Should be fun. And we got I don't know. You guys might rant and rave about goalies on Thursday or Wednesday or something. We'll see. But that is it for today. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. We are out of here. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast, and we will see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.